Hello guys and welcome back to TNT Madness. Today we're going to be going into a much more serious topic than I usually go into, and this is the difference between Minecraft 1.7 and 1.8, specifically regarding factions. So it is honestly the biggest update that affected the whole factions gameplay pretty much forever. We've had no issues, we've had slight advances in technology within TNT cannons, but most of those have just been gradually as people have worked harder and harder to make TNT cannons, as they are very complex machines, and I am only getting into the realms of one-shots, let alone stuff like tunneler cannons. So those have only been very progressive. But the one thing that changing to 1.8 did was, other than making the unraidable chest wall, it also screwed up TNT mechanics for good. And this is the main reason that you see pretty much every server being 1.7, or at least 1.7 and then protocol hacked to 1.8 and 9, but the server is still on 1.7. And that is a very good reason, because when servers play on 1.8 or 1.9, they have a huge issue because TNT cannons are fundamentally broken. And I'm going to show you here today the actual changes that were made between 1.7 and 1.8 and of course 1.9. There's actually no changes between 1.8 and 1.9, but there is a change between 1.7 and 1.8, and it's just ridiculous. So there are two major changes that actually affected TNT mechanics. The first one being that TNT now is affected by water. So TNT is now affected by water, so the physics of water of course means that TNT will flow down water. This is a relatively small change, but as you can see, it just flows along with the water and still explodes like normal. But this caused a few issues, not that big, but if we come over here, we have got what I'm going to call a pseudo hammer, because we've got a general hammer here, and generally the TNT would stay in this portion of the cannon, and then it would be pushed out to the main part of the chamber. But when TNT is pushed into water like this, it'll go down and go into the actual main barrel of the cannon. And this wasn't the biggest issue, is because there are workarounds. For example, we could use a two-part piston system where this thing was always extended and then it would retract, or we could just simply place a block here and have a sign on it, so that way when you do activate it, it'll still stay there. But for bigger issues where you have a massive area inside the cannon, you can't place a sign everywhere, it can be a bit harder to work around there. But that is not the major issue. The major issue is actually to do with sand stacking. So before I explain how 1.8's mechanics work, or sand stacking mechanics work, here is my 41 shot cannon. It is one of the most popular cannons in the game, one shot cannons are, and as soon as I press the button, this will fully sand stack and it will destroy the wall. And this thing has been fully working for ages, and as you can see, it just absolutely destroys the wall. But something funny happens when you actually use 1.8, and as you can see, this thing actually stacks properly, fully sand, and then you can hybrid all you like. But the main thing that changes between this and 1.8 is sand stacking, which is essentially the most fundamental thing to actual mechanics or TNT cannons. So now what we have is the same wall, the same cannon in 1.8, but the slab bust and the hybrid have been disabled, so it'll only sand stack. So when we press the button, it should just stack 40 sand. It's also being adjusted for 1.7, but when we fire it out here, as you can see, it should stack 40 sand. The TNT still fires in the same place, but the sand stacks a total of 8 high. That's the equivalent of my 1.8.8 Leon Archer cannon. So as you can see, that causes a huge issue, because it means the TNT fires off to the side and everywhere, and it doesn't rely on the same game tick mechanic that used to apply. So this causes a whole lot of issues, because it means we cannot have one-shot cannons, and it just screws up everything. It also does some other weird stuff when you actually fire this whole cannon that doesn't sand stack. But as you can see, this is not how it's supposed to work. This is fundamentally different than how a normal cannon actually performs. So now the cannon has been brought back to former glory, because everything has been reactivated, and also, if you're wondering, there are signs here just so the actual TNT and the hammer doesn't go outside it. But now if we fire it again, and we're still on 1.8, in 1.7 this would one-shot the wall, but what will happen with this is if we fire it over here, the one thing that happens is it tries to slab bust, but of course there's no slab, so it won't blow up there. It stacks the 8 sand, and since it's trying to scatter up here and there's no sand to actually land on, it doesn't do anything. So this is a huge issue because, like I said, we can't one-shot. This is still going to consistently stack 8 sand, unless this is 7. Yeah, it's going to stack 8 sand. But this is the same for 1.9, and no one has, and in the recent updates, no one has actually fixed it either. And I was skeptical to make this video because I thought maybe in 1.9 Mojang would actually fix it because they're still under Microsoft, but they haven't. We've had this problem for nearly 2 years, and Factions is an absolutely huge part of Minecraft. It is it's not the fastest growing, but a lot of people have a lot of dedication to playing Factions and TNT Cannons. In fact, I have my whole channel based on it. So I would rather move forward with Minecraft instead of being stuck in 1.7, because I love stuff like slime cannons, but I cannot make them on servers, or I cannot make them on servers that are on 1.7, because who wants to play on a server where these cannons don't work? It's just very frustrating, and I don't normally ask Mojang for anything, but if anyone could send Mojang anything to tell them to fix this bug, that would be absolutely fantastic. However, a lot of people have done this for years, so I doubt they'll actually do anything, but this is just the main reason why this happens. It's just really, really sad that something like this has been around for so long and no one has actually fixed it. I know Mojang hasn't had a track record for fixing things, but it'd be really, really nice if they could. So, hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know it's a bit different, it's not TNT Cannon, but if you did like it, then please hit that like button.